Whoops, I forgot to change source. There we go. Alright, welcome back to another stream. We're just playing Spearmaster. That's it. I have been thinking about doing a tier list stream sometime in the near future, and I realized that, I would be ranking, considering that I'd be ranking like pretty much everything, including the Slugcats. Some of the Slugcats are characters that I've not played as much as others, so that's mainly Spearmaster. Just put that in too high, no, just to reach it. So I've pretty much, well, I have played them a decent amount, because I did their main campaign the whole way through. I've then continued to that, I continued that save file to kind of explore and look around for some of the iterator conversations. And then I also did like some speedruns and expedition mode stuff, but other than that, I kind of stopped playing Spearmaster. And it's probably, I probably would consider it my least favorite character. Except that jump. So if I were to put them on the tier list now, I would not rank them very highly. However, I think it's been some time, and I've improved at the game, and I'm more aware of like the entirety of downpours, so I think it's now a good time to give Spearmaster another shot, so that I can set in stone if I really do like dislike this character a lot, or if it was just like a lack of experience. I don't know. I guess that would still be a problem, right? If a character isn't fun to play, if you're not experienced with it, then that's probably the most important part. A lot of players are just going to play Spearmaster once to get through the campaign and then never again. So the first time experience is important, but if you're making a tier list for the characters, then you're probably not talking about the first time experience. At least not exclusively. It also has to consider other factors, like if the character is still good to play after for a second or third playthrough, just what this is. So what this run is going to be is pretty much just hello, welcome to the stream. Yes, I'm going to do a tier list eventually. This stream is research for that, I suppose, because I would not be able to rank Spearmaster confidently. It's the amount of time that I've played them. But I'd probably just say that they're like the lowest out of all the downpour Slugcats. But I guess I really want to make sure that I'm not just like making them unfairly. Because like Sainted Rivulet, I've played. Thanks for that notification. I've played Saint and Rivulet significantly more, and I'd probably rank them higher. So it's only fair that I also play Spearmaster for much longer. Also, I have the I have a mod enabled that lets me do fast rolls. I can't show you here, but I can start a roll from just that jump, from one tile up. But I'm not going to be considering that as part of the ranking because it's like kind of also something that Spearmaster or just Survivor can do. So the main plan for this run is to basically just do everything there is to do in this campaign. That's Centipede turning away. So I'm going to start off by getting some echoes, just so that karma isn't that much of a problem. And then I'll head to Moon first, and then Pebbles, and then Moon, and then the end. But I want to go through most of the regions that are exclusive to, or like they're unique to Spearmaster. So the whole like Moon underhang and precipice. But I also want to not drag it out for too long, so maybe this will be the only extra stream I do of this Spearmaster playthrough. So one of my main complaints about Spearmaster was, initially at least, was the fact that it was just difficult for them to get food. Well, it isn't, it's like, it's debatable, honestly. Because it depends a lot on what kind of creatures are around. These dropwings, for example, they only give 1 food pip for Spearmaster. They die instantly to the first spear that you throw. And maybe if you throw 2 spears very quickly, you'd be able to get an extra food pip. I don't know if that's true. But normally, if you're able to eat creatures, then you can get 3 food pips from dropwigs, right? So you need to kill 3 times as many dropwigs to get the same amount of food. However, you know, there's also some benefits to the way Spearmaster eats, like the fact that you don't have to go after a creature's body. If you hit a creature with a spear and it falls off a cliff, you still get food from that, even if you no longer have access to their body. And you can also kind of just throw spears from afar and stay in a relatively safe position without having to risk going in to go after that food. I should probably just use a spear there. And you can also get food from creatures that normally you can't eat at all, like full plants and kelp. I do need to shelter again. Can't angle it that far down. Oh, really? I think I'm actually full. Yeah, I don't need to bother with that lizard. Okay, so it is possible. So if you're in a good position, you can get extra food, then it's normally possible. So I'm actually probably going to head to Farmeries just to grab the Echo real fast. Maybe I should have tested it right there. They were still alive, actually. No, if you're sometimes you might have an opportunity to do an up spear throw, and it actually does less damage, which is actually good for Spearmaster since you can get an extra hits in for the food. Although pretty hard to line up with a dropwig that's above you without it dropping down on you, of course. I also need to remember that, like, you know, once you get full food pips, you no longer have to worry about generating spears. You just pick up any spear that you find, or reuse ones multiple times. You know, I have heard, you know, a lot of people say that, you know, the way that Spearmaster works kind of encourages, you know, a unique and more interesting playstyle than normal, because of how you have to worry about, like, whether you want to get food or if you want to just try to survive. So you have to choose, like, which spear, whether you should use it to generate a new spear every time, or... Oh, nice, good data. And maybe that is important. If they just ate food normally, I could just give them a ton of spears, right? It is 5 karma. I should go over here. I'm actually going to grab this pearl. I'll have to hold on to it this whole time. The next complaint that's very common about Spearmaster is not having the... Oh yeah, straight into the worm grass. Not being able to hold things in your stomach. And it means that carrying around pearls for giving to scavengers, it's much harder. carrying around. Actually, it's mostly pearls that are the problem. And of course, that becomes a big deal once you get to their main quest, which involves carrying around a pearl as the main objective. So, oh really? Can you come up here? I think the no storage is a cool challenge. Yeah, it's also, you know, makes it more difficult, and it makes you think differently about playing with characters. Although I think it's kind of unfortunate that it's on the character that has the ability to hold 2 spears. You're given this, wow. You're given this ability, and then you're not allowed to use it for half of their campaign. But of course, holding 2 spears at once isn't really that important, actually. Oh, I see that. So I'm probably just gonna shelter here twice in a row. I guess that's kind of the main point of this character, and like when considering how to rank it, are these changes that make this character different from the other Slugcats? Are they a good thing or a bad thing? Because most characters, you know, we get used to playing in a certain sort of way, and when we get to Spearmaster, suddenly we have to change the way we play. And you could say that it's a good thing because it encourages like a more unique and interesting playstyle. That kind of forces you to think more about your interactions. Or you could say that it just kind of gets in the way and makes the game more annoying to play. I guess I'll kind of figure out how I feel about it as we continue through this campaign. But I want to be open. I don't want to just say that any mechanic is bad just because it's different. I think it might be overtuned a bit, considering that this is quite a difficult campaign. The combination of the fact that Spearmaster isn't the strongest Slugcat compared to some of the other new Slugcats like Artificer and Rivulet that have like kind of overpowered abilities. Spearmaster is pretty close to Hunter. So you have that plus their very difficult creature spawns, and you have a difficult campaign that's made even more challenging by having more unique mechanics and things that you have to get used to. So if you're a new player, which you probably are, when playing Spearmaster, if you've never played it before, then you're going to not only have to get used to these new mechanics, but also deal with like this very challenging world. Kind of doubles up the difficulty of everything. Hello. It's no way, it's Spearmaster in the chat right now. This stream is pretty much just research because I'm planning on doing a tier list in the near future. I feel like I haven't played this character enough to be confident in my ranking. So that's all this is. I'm gonna get stabbed by these scavengers, aren't I? You know, actually, I'm going to the Echo anyway, so my reputation doesn't matter. Actually, it does. It does matter. I'll stay in this shelter so that when I leave, I can bring all those pearls with me. I would rather... I'd rather increase my reputation early. I think it's a little bit unfortunate that you start with bad scavenger reputation as most of the characters in Downpour. Oh, I'm gonna have to activate the Echo anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. I would have done this from the start. You can fly. That's kind of a interesting bonus, unless your Squid Kata is just, like, passes out for no reason. Hello? Okay, I don't know why this isn't working. Like most characters have negative rep or neutral, right? I think that Survivor and Monk are neutral. Monk might be slightly positive. I'm not sure about that. Hunter is definitely negative. Gourmand is neutral. Artificer is super negative, and you can't change it at all. Rivulet starts out negative. Spearmaster starts out negative, and Saint is neutral. So there's not a single character that has like strong, like good, like positive reputation with scavengers. I'm gonna have to get food. Actually, there's a popcorn plant. It's not a problem. I think Spearmaster would have been a good opportunity for that, considering that they can generate infinite spears. You would think that the scavengers would like them. They can provide like infinite supply of weapons for the scavengers at any time, which you can do once you start playing. If you want, you just generate a ton of spears and give them to the scavengers and get your reputation up. But that actually is pretty difficult to do, considering that you have to not get killed by those scavengers immediately in the first place. So we're just going to grab this echo real quick. I want to get my karma up, considering that we're going to some difficult areas in the future, so I like to have some extra karma to make it easier. Of course, I'm making these decisions a lot more informed than most players will. I know that there's going to be some challenging areas up ahead, so I'm preparing in advance, but I think most people are just going to head straight to Pebbles or Moon. And they might get stuck in some areas where you need high karma to get past. Like, I think the entrance to Moon from Precipice is 5 karma. So if you die a lot in Precipice, you then have to like farm karma up as Spearmaster, which is quite difficult, so that can be annoying. But we'll see. Maybe if I do put extra care into preparing for those difficult areas up ahead, then it won't be as bad. It doesn't want you to know this, but spears are infinite. It's a little bit unfortunate that the spears that Spearmaster creates look very different from regular spears, because I think it would have been an interesting like explanation for why there's spears everywhere. Since that oh, there's the pearl that I gave the scavengers my first time through. Since Spearmaster's at the start of the timeline, maybe they were the one to create a bunch of spears and kind of spread them out across the whole world, but they look different, so that's definitely not the case. And I'm pretty sure it is just the scavengers that put spears everywhere, or just these poles kind of falling apart and just being spears naturally. Hundreds of little Spearmasters. Oh, that's fortunate. I'm going to have to get food. Screen Wizard seems like a good opportunity. You have to kind of rethink the way that you fight a lot of creatures if you're trying to get food specifically. Because you can't just run in and spam spear throws. You have to back away and rebuild it some more. Oh, I guess they're just gonna run away. So yeah, I'm helping out Noodlefly. I don't know why they're not doing anything. Wow. What are they doing? And I just killed the no-fly. I'm just gonna stay stuck like that. It'd be cool if you could kind of use them as a spear. I mean, it is kind of... Warning shot. Take the speedrun route. I don't even know what that is. Imagine that you're probably just going through, up the wall to pebbles and then through precipice back and forth to complete their quest. I want to explore some of the regions that are unique to Spearmaster. I need to memorize where these poles are so I can always drop onto them. Oh, yeah, let's just fall straight back down. Into pebbles from underhang. That's interesting. From chimney canopy or from exterior? I'm already good on food. I don't need to really bother with this. I should just gone straight up. That's a drop wig. That's another drop wig. Oh gosh. They can really jump high if you give them the time. There we go. I don't know how I didn't die there. F from chimney. It's funny that it turns out that in some speedruns it's actually better to go just over to underhang and up through pebbles that okay. Because they're so used at least I am so used to just going up the wall and hearing pebbles from the top. I should have picked up a rock or spear at some point. Four-hour world record. Some of the speedruns right now are a bit ridiculous. The Gourmand one is also like 3 hours. No one wants to play those characters. I think that there are better speedruns that they just haven't been submitted or they haven't been verified yet. I hope this, well, let's give it to this guy, actually. Since he's not associated with the toll. Are you gonna take that? Yo, just take it. I don't know why they do this sometimes. There you go. Of course, they're going to attack the Overseer. And I may or may not be in between them and the Overseer when they do. See, I'm helping. There was like a 50% chance that I accidentally hit a scavenger there. That's a lizard in that tunnel. Oh, that actually worked out. I was surprised when I'm actually able to hit those. Hello, vulture. I don't like you. If key items on passive should be allowed, I think it's a... I thought that it was a different category. Because it does change the run quite a bit. I think that if I were to run it, if I was interested in ever speedrunning Spearmaster, I would pretty much exclusively do it with that setting turned on, to be able to passage with the pearl. Okay. It just makes everything a lot easier. Get the mask on? I don't want to. Having a mask would kind of like trivialize the rest of the campaign. Like I could get this King Vulture mask maybe. I want to test out Spearmaster. I don't want to just run away from lizards the whole time. And then at some point I would have to carry other items anyway, so. I probably should have gotten the Karma Flower earlier. So now I have to go back where I died. I mean, it's not that far away. Oh, great one. I died right here. Okay, it's not that far. I did turn off wall pouncing. The Spearmaster. Nothing wacky and uncharacteristic. We're just playing Spearmaster. That's the stream. Specifically the slug cat, not the person in chat. or maybe it is. I don't know. How much food do I have? I have plenty. I'm gonna stay in the shelter. Next one that I see. There's no reason for me to do that. I mean, I'm honestly surprised that I've only seen those 2 blue lizards instead of like a cyan lizard. Oh, no, never mind. Why I have to say anything? I like when they do that. It makes it a lot easier to hit them with a spear. Just doing a little bit of juggling. So there's a lot of echoes that I could get, but that are not exactly on the path that I want to go. Actually, that's fine. First, I will head to get Chimney Canopy and the wall. I mean, if I do that, then I might as well also just grab go to Pebbles too, right? So think I'm going to head to Shaded. And then grab the Echo, head back. Or actually, maybe from Shaded, I'll just go to Moon. It's not that far. I don't like this situation. Oh, they sent me really far. I'm going to die here. I think the red lizard actually left. Red lizard to kill? I don't know about that. I wish that the spears stayed connected to you, so that you could use them for food. If you like pick them up not long after you if you first throw them, or if you could like drop the spear and then pick it up like shortly afterwards, and it would stay connected to you. Just kind of wastes time having to. A nice one. I do generate another spear after you only drop it for a second. There's a mod for that. There's a lot of mods to make like minor adjustments. Or probably things that maybe should have been in the game all along. I don't know if I like I don't really like using mods to fix things like that. Because you end up just having like 50 different mods that all make their own tiny little changes to the game. And it also means that people who are not too familiar with the game, who are watching the stream, may get the wrong idea of how the game works. Shall I risk it? Nah. It kind of bothers me sometimes when I see videos about Rain World where they have like 20 different mods on. I mean, that's an exaggeration. And the game just looks like completely different. I mean, that's probably just me. Actually, it's kind of a common thing on the Rain World subreddit. Sometimes people will talk about like, oh, what is this? Or I have a bug, or you know, they have a question about something, but then they're like, oh, I have like 10 mods enabled, so it might be one of those. Like, of course you're gonna notice weird things when you have a bunch of mods enabled. Nice one. What is this? 4 lantern wise, all going through a pipe at the same time. A collective. You know, I was planning on going through garbage waste, but I might just go from Shaded straight to Shoreline or Waterfront Facility. There's usually a drop bug in this room, although that might have been the one that I killed earlier. Oh, if I just threw my spear there, I would have kept going. There was a spear or a spider somewhere in there, but I didn't see it. Watch out for Meteors. Alright, well, thanks for stopping by. That's a spider. Of the red variety. This is not a speedrun. Yep. I mean, maybe if I don't have the correct settings on for it to be verified as an actual speedrun. Typically, I don't have the timer enabled. I don't know if it's required, but I think I pretty much always see it in speedruns. It's always nice when there's lantern mice here so you can actually see what's going on. Also, I'm going to be ignoring the those things. I don't know what they call them. Things that let you listen in on the iterator's conversation. There is one of them. Luckily, you showed up a little bit late. Maybe I could try to get some food from them. You know what? I'm good, actually. There's a drop book there. There's also a grenade that I'm totally fine with ignoring. So I'm going to activate the echo and then stay in a shelter. The broadcast, yeah. That's a way to call them. Ultra Instinct Spider. Mirror's bird stuck behind a wall and shaded. Sometimes there's invisible walls that creatures get stuck behind. The biggest example that I can think of is in Sky Islands. In like the first room. Hey guys, I just want to give you some spears. The first room of Sky Islands, if you're entering from farm arrays, there's a spot that's kind of like on the far left side of the screen, where close to where the pipe is. Sometimes vultures spawn there and then they get stuck because there's an invisible wall that they're on the other side of. Kind of hard to see where that spider is exactly. Oh. Alright, guess they're fine. So the thing with the vulture is probably, it might be the only time I've seen that happen like often. But I imagine that it can happen with other creatures, if that's what you're referring to. Oh gosh, I have my scavenger reputation is good. Just kind of hoping that they don't attack me. That's not what I wanted to do. Here we have some breakfast. Actually, doesn't matter because that, well, after I get the echo. I think I got a passage. Oh, there's Survivor. I'm not really focused on getting passages now, because I would like to carry the pearl around. I mean, not that I would like to, but I feel like I should for the full Spearmaster experience. Because you can totally just use a bunch of passages to carry the pearl around for the quests. But I imagine that most players, because I think the option that lets you carry items through passages, it's like something you have to specifically go to remix settings to turn on. A lot of players aren't going to have that on by default, so. Where'd I get karma? I went to farm raise to grab the echo there. Now we're at 3 karma. I'm always used to going this route, where I go down from that shelter to go through these rooms, but I think that going the top route is faster. But I'm just not used to doing that. Default remix preset, and it was on from what you remember. Okay. Well, even if it is on, that's only if you... I don't know why I did that. If you, like, specifically are aware of the fact that that remix setting exists, that you can take advantage of it. And once you realize that you can't put atoms in your stomach, you're probably going to rule out the possibility of passaging. I imagine that, like, a lot of players kind of went through that. They actually dropped the lantern. Close the spear in case I see Ramiro's vulture. Because they like to show. I don't know how many of you have seen what happens if you go to Moon first instead of Pebbles. Or maybe you've seen what happens if you go to Moon first and not what happens when you go to Pebbles first. But but when I played it, I went to Pebbles first. So, but I have seen the other way around. I'm gonna be staying in this shelter. It's been a decent amount of time since I've stayed in shelters quite frequently. Because usually I'm trying to play a bit more like a speedrunner by trying to make it as far as possible without staying in shelters. Pebbles monologue is a little much for the science storytelling there. I think that it's more of like a... Like most players are probably going to go to Pebbles first. And they get to like... They get to go through the... What's like the intended experience, if you want to call it that. But then if you want to go out of your way to go to Moon first, or if you're doing like a second playthrough, then you kind of get a little reward of hearing what Pebbles has to say. And because most players would probably see Pebbles first, they actually put effort into making that scene work well without any dialogue. So I'm still carrying this explosive spear. I don't know if it's a good idea. Opportunity. So hopefully I can remember my way. Pebble. Oh wow, you got sent quite distance. I think by going down here. The one spear run. Yes, I have seen that. That's wall jumping. Just not grab that. So you can go from here up into precipice. So this room is kind of strange. This is a very interesting room. A lot of players will take the wrong pipes here. Because I mean, there's a shelter that you can find, but the correct path is actually going up. And for whatever reason, a lot of people just totally miss this route. And I totally missed it when I first played through. But I found an alternate way to get past that uses kind of janky movement tech. I don't know why I'm getting notifications right now. And I don't need to get food. There's actually a lot of kelp up ahead, so food is not really a problem at all, even if I didn't get the popcorn plan. Yeah, you see the pipes immediately and you just think that there's kind of a... Like sometimes there's areas like that that don't lead anywhere. Hello, lizard. Surprised I didn't hear me generating spears. So yeah, you can use the snail. There's some snails down there. You can use them to make that jump, or you can do an, like I said, an instant hop. That might also work out. But this area can be a little annoying if you don't find that extra route. Why is there a constant storm in this region? Because it's close to an iterator. That's just kind of how they are. These like electrical sparks and lightning, it's just like what happens around the exterior of iterators. Whoa. Let's not do that. It's cool that we have this area though, because compared to it's very unique compared to Pebbles, because Memory Crypts isn't exactly like this, and Memory Crypts is probably the closest to this area specifically. I suddenly storm near 5 Pebbles when it rains. So yeah, when it rains in these exterior regions around the iterators, there's kind of like an electrical storm instead of just a regular rain. And oh, that's a much better explanation. Moon is in the process of collapsing, so it makes sense that it'd be more chaotic and more like energetic. Stuff is happening around Moon. Whereas Pebbles is much more, at least around this point in the timeline, Pebbles is not anywhere close to collapsing. And you would think that maybe 5 Pebbles would be more stormy around the time of like Rivulet. Tiny little spider there. Since like Pebbles is close to collapsing in that point of the timeline too, but maybe it's just because it's not just the structure collapsing, it's like being decayed and eaten away at by the rot, so it kind of doesn't have the energy left to create these kind of storms. I don't know, that's just kind of a theory I made up right now. Why does only Moon have a siren though? I think that's because it's an older model of Iterator. Maybe they're more like worried about safety. Or actually, I think a better explanation maybe is that since Moon is much older, they still had some amount of structures on the surface, so it also served as a warning for the rain outside of the structure. And also because of Pebble's proximity to Moon, the siren also worked. You could also hear the siren from Pebbles. Also, why did I do that? I know what kind of spider this is. You don't stop them. This whole region, by the way, is probably one of the better parts of Spearmaster's campaign, in my opinion. I like that it's very similar to Pebbles Underhang, but also has a very unique feeling. Pebbles exterior is mostly white lizards and spiders, and there's spiders here too, but there's also like orange lizards, and no DLLs. That's probably the biggest difference. That spider's immediately getting revived. There's no DLLs, there's no rot anywhere. I don't know why this whole plant is just active. There's also Mirror's vultures. where they had to really rely on the idea of Moon being an older, like, iterator version to justify all the differences, because they could have just easily made Moon very similar to Pebbles, and it wouldn't really be that unique of an experience, but they wanted it to feel unique. Yeah, Pebbles mostly named after a brain, and then Moon, it's named after a heart, except it doesn't. It only applies to similar superstructure. For Moon in the Spearmaster's campaign, it's not any different, I don't think. Oh, the lantern mice. I don't know if there's lantern mice in Pebbles exterior. I don't think there are. That's probably like the biggest difference, honestly. Just lantern mice being everywhere. This is my opportunity. There we go. Only in the same campaign, yeah. See if I can make this jump. Nope, not if I do that. Or that. I'll just go to the other side. I think it'd make more sense if, actually, no. Not really. For Pebbles, right, there's memory crypts separating the leg from the other, from the, like, shaded. So no lantern mice would be able to get, oh, that was a bad idea. Lantern mice wouldn't be able to get through memory crypts to get into the leg. Although who knows how the other creatures got there. Maybe it's like specifically added by Pebbles as like a protection against other random creatures that might make their way in. I don't know. Goodbye, spider. Hello, lizard. Bye, lizard. I like this room. I don't know if there's anything like this in the leg for Pebbles, because it's mostly just in exterior where there's these rooms that hold the orange lizards. But we get this as kind of a transition from the leg part to the underhang part. Also, all the sound design is incredible for pretty much all of Moon's regions. They make you feel like you're in a much larger structure that's kind of falling apart. Also, I have no idea where I should be going here. Actually, I think I might have an idea of where to go here. I'm gonna fall all the way down here. Unfortunate. There we go. I don't need to generate my own spears now. Is it? I don't know. I'm really close to raining. It's just kind of loud over here. Secret trick for dealing with those spiders, just throw a rock at them. It's better than unleashing the swarm. This This is probably one of the more memorable parts of the campaign for me. I have no idea where this guy is. He's below. So this is actually kind of a little bit of a shortcut that gets you into Moon, but you can also continue going through the underhang. It's just a longer route to the same destination, although I guess it brings you through a different part of Moon, so it depends on where you want to go. Not here. You're just gonna have to climb up. It is a little bit unfortunate that this is pretty much the only interesting movement mechanic that the Spearmaster gets. Like, Ormond has a long slide, Artificer has double jump, Trivia has crazy movement in general. Saint has the... Wait, I didn't need to do that. That was all unnecessary. Right, and Saint has the long tongue, and all that Spearmaster has is being able to climb walls with spears very slowly. Although it's understandable that they wouldn't want to make every single character have overpowered movements. It's also like, our Spearmaster is probably the most difficult, in part because they don't have any movement abilities to help them out. I might have been able to make that jump. Actually, let's take this other route. So probably one of the most memorable parts of when I was playing Spearmaster. All these neurons. I really missed every single one. One of the most memorable parts of playing Spearmaster was when I was inside of Moon structure. And it started raining. It reached the end of the cycle. And what happens? Oh. This guy's mad. If I throw spears at them, I'm probably just going to die. They don't have anything to throw at me. Yeah, I was in here. I don't remember where exactly, but I was somewhere. And they reached the end of the cycle. And what happens in Moon at the end of the cycle is that the gravity stops switching on and off. Gravity just turns off permanently until you sleep in a shelter. It means that you are inside an iterator with no low gravity at all, and suddenly you have to just kind of like walk around in these like massive open rooms without low gravity to help you. And it was like kind of strange at first to think like, oh, when's the gravity gonna switch back over? It never happened. And you kind of realize that, oh. Also, I think this is definitely the wrong way, whatever. I'm just gonna keep going. Do I have music turned off? I think I don't have music on. Why did I not notice until now? It's usually a very loud song that plays in this room. Hold on, I'm gonna go do that. over on Twitch. Thank you, I guess. It's not a remix setting. There we go. Let's get the music back in here. I guess this goes to show how good the ambience is in this game. If I didn't even notice that there is no music, there's still enough background noise to prevent areas from feeling empty. Alright, well, thanks for stopping by. So I think what we have to do now is kind of go around Moon, around the exterior of the region, except on the top instead. Sorry about that. Honestly, this whole area is kind of like a condensed version of Pebble's whole exterior, and it's understandable why they would do that, because if they don't want to just create another Pebbles, because the area is huge. And we've already seen that area, right? We know what that looks like, so... I mean, we've also already seen these rooms. These are the ones that are the same in the normal campaigns, too, after Moon has collapsed. But I feel like because I'd say that Pebbles is like starts from memory crypts through the entire exterior, which is made up of the leg, the underhang, and the wall. I probably should have stayed in this shelter. And for Moon, I feel like it's like all of those similar regions, but there's no wall. Instead, it's a handful of rooms that are on the that I'm about to head to right now. So this area is kind of the wall for Moon, but it's a lot shorter. Yeah, the ambience of this game is also why I have the intro screens the way I do. Actually, I'm going to show that for a second. The screens that I have at the start and end of streams. I basically just found some part of the world that I really like and record it for a few minutes. I like that kind of like calm, like open ambience. I'm not always going to be playing Rain World, so at some point I'm going to replace those waiting screens, but I want to have a very similar vibe. I'm thinking of someday trying to make code in my own like cloud simulation. I don't know how you're supposed to get up. Actually, I know how you're supposed to get up this room. I want to create my own like cloud simulation, and oh, that's a lizard right there. I don't know, just make something that looks nice that I can use as a background. So I really love the way the clouds look in Rain World. Oh gosh. I think I need to get food here. Okay, that was just RNG. I could have... I mean, I should have thrown that spear earlier, honestly. It's not just RNG, but... there was like a 60% chance I survived there. Yeah, I like that it's more condensed, because Pebbles is honestly... like, the whole Pebbles experience is very interesting. A lot of the times, new players will be recommended to go through memory crypts and exterior, and to go through the main structure of Pebbles, because it's a very unique experience the first time through. But then on like subsequent playthroughs, usually you just learn to go up through the wall, see Pebbles, and then go back down the wall, basically skipping the entire like part of the game. I don't know why it's lagging here. Oh, I jumped too far. Like, it's such a long part of the game that's also quite difficult because of some of the creature spawns. But you eventually just learn to take the route that skips it all. Oh, come on, I just made the same mistake. See if I can actually make it over this time. There we go. Alright, time to fight a bunch of more lizards again. This time I'll try to prepare more spears in advance, so I kept having to stop to create more. And I do actually need to get food. There's a karma flower. I don't know why. Oh, I probably hit a neuron at some point. That's why I have a half pip of food. Off-screen lizard, always wonderful. I got very close to getting RNG'd right there. They even made the design of these orb structures a lot different compared to the ones in Pebbles. They really wanted to make these areas feel unique. Unfortunately, if they were to try to add, or if any modders were to try to add more iterators to the game, I feel like they would start to become repetitive. Just having two slightly different iterators is probably enough. I think this is the first time I've actually gone through this area upwards instead of just falling down it. Of course, people who like to create their own like Rain World content, they like to try to make it more unique, more interesting. If you look at anyone's original iterator designs, they are way more elaborate than the ones in the game. Whoa, I did some weird jump right there. But I imagine that most iterators probably have a kind of standardized design, only like having slightly different colors and maybe a few different designs, or like extra patterns. Like how 7 Red Suns has the dots on its head to represent the suns of their name. That's probably like the most different that any of the iterators look. So when you have the zero gravity here, it just kind of extends out into the open air. Oh, these tunnels are always annoying to navigate in zero G. See if you're not perfectly aligned in the middle of the tunnel, then you end up hitting your head against something, and you can't line back up. I can't do the strat that I do as Ruby. How long have I been playing? About an hour. Probably could be going for another 2 hours, as far as I can make it through this campaign. I have yet to get to the hardest part, which is once you start carrying the pearl around. I got a neuron there. So I've actually decided to go to the moon first. Here we are. But you have to go to Pebbles to actually start the story going. This only makes like some slight changes, like you get to hear Pebbles' dialogue. These like fan fiction. Yeah, I mean, I'm fine. I don't have any wall bounces anymore. Rain World in total. Let's see. About 800 hours. If you don't have your food bar completely filled up, then Moon will fill it up for you. Unlike Pebbles. Also, that whole sequence still played out despite the fact that I've seen Moon before. Because Pebbles also has a whole sequence of things that he does when you first meet him as Survivor. But then on subsequent playthroughs on the same save file, he will skip that whole sequence. Oh, it actually shows that the pearl is in there. Does Moon kill you if you attack her? I'm not going to test that. But I imagine probably not. Fast Spearmaster doesn't start with the mark continuation, honestly. Also, I'm very surprised that it takes multiple cycles to extract data from the pearl. Because data rays are literally massive supercomputers. I feel like it should take them like half a second to do that. And also, as an artificer, when you go to Pebbles, it takes like a full like 10 seconds to like register the ID drone. I feel like that should happen instantaneously too. now we start the whole quest. We go to Pebbles, then we go back to Moon, and then we go to Sky Islands. And we'll probably be taking the Precipice route every time. Yeah, I imagine that Pebbles is just kind of like naturally kind of just like irritated, mostly because of the rot, although that's my theory. If not for the rot, like if Pebbles didn't have the rot, then he'd be a lot nicer to the slug cats. Because he's suddenly trying to focus very hard on dealing with this problem. Well, of course, they're always focusing on solving the great problem, but I imagine that at some point they become kind of demotivated after spending so long not finding any solutions. Oh, it's nighttime right now. So, like, spending a bit of time to talk to a slug cat wouldn't really bother him too much, but suddenly, because of the rot, he's kind of just naturally annoyed by everything. Use the coded language instead. What, to communicate with the slug cat? Hold up, just give me 1 second. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. So, 7 Red Suns taught the Spearmaster some sort of sign language. I mean, I guess if they wanted to keep communication with the exclusive to them, but why wouldn't the other iterators, considering that Spearmaster was created as a messenger? Also, I should be going the other way. I don't want to take this route again. If the other iterators wanted to, they could just give Spearmaster the mark of communication, and then I mean, I assume that they wanted. I mean, I guess if Spearmaster was exclusively for delivering messages to Pebbles, then, and if Pebbles wasn't going to give them the mark of communication, then it wasn't a problem. When are we gonna get to see the campaign where it's the first messenger that was created? kind of wonder. This door over here, this gate, is totally locked off. If you were to use dev tools to teleport to the other side of the gate, if you would still be able to access that region, that part of the region. Because gates always just load in the other region that isn't loaded in, regardless of which side of the gate that you're on. Hopefully I can remember the route to where I want to go to get to Precipice. Can I get over here? There we go. So now I want to go this way instead. Oh, there we go. Kind of strange that spears fly upwards in zero gravity. Actually, no, that makes sense. Because normally you would throw, normally they probably throw spears slightly upwards. That gravity kind of brings it back down in a straight line. If you were to throw the spears completely flat forward, then they would quickly fall down and hit the ground. So throwing them slightly upwards kind of helps with that. And so in 0G, that slight upwards boost that they get doesn't go away. This part of the region is once again a complete maze, so I know where to go. I'm already kind of lost. Oh, this is it. This is the correct path. You use that in the spearless run. Oh, these will kill me. Probably be holding on to the spears right now. But that's not the kind of spear I was talking about. I think I go up from here. It's kind of hard to tell. Yes, I have to go up there. This was the room that I passed through earlier. We get to see it again. This is probably one of my favorite rooms in the whole Spearmaster campaign. It's just like huge, just empty void. There's a thing in the center of this room. I kind of think of it as like a CPU. Oh, and the background lights up when the gravity turns on, or anti-gravity turns on. Yeah, you throw a single spear to like hit a bunch of bat flies. That's the strategy for getting a bunch of food. And a popcorn plant, right? So if you can do all of that in a single spear throw. Turns out I actually do remember this route pretty well. Just kidding, you have to go in here. I hope there's a shelter on the other side of this. I think that there should be, right? Yep, that shelter right there. I have enough food. Now we're going through Precipice, and this is one of the more difficult parts of the run. Or just the campaign, this isn't a speedrun. But this whole area is full of dropwigs and vultures, and leaf lizards are probably the most dangerous. I think there's some white lizards in here too. And some lag, always nice. I'm not really gonna worry about food. There's a popcorn plant I know you can just get. Ow. Well, I thought that they're going to just head straight towards me, but I guess if they want to do that, I don't mind. There's usually a dropwig in this room. Just making sure. It's kind of hard to see behind all this foreground stuff. Oh, this is where this song plays. You know, I've kind of listened to the whole OST a lot, but I haven't heard too many of the songs played in there. Specifically where they're supposed to play in game. And if it's in like Spearmaster's campaign, for example, I'm probably not going to hear it very often. Oh, there's the dropwig. They, for some reason, they like to hang out down there. Or if they're not gonna find anything, the whole cycle. So far, this is way too peaceful. I'm still waiting for something to show up. Alright, here's something though. Just a blue lizard though. That's a pretty tough jump. Especially coming from this direction. And this, what is up with all this? I guess I'll try to do it like this. Got a little bit of coyote time there, that helped out a lot. They also like the portrait about the acid and garbage waste. Yep, they do that too. I guess they don't really look at what they're hanging above as long as they think it's a good location. There's a vulture. Actually, I didn't want to take this. We're actually hearing threat music for the first time this stream. Are you gonna get that? Okay, this, I don't know what's up with this vulture. Maybe it doesn't like blue lizards. It already ran away. Still waiting for some cyan lizards to show up. Or white lizards. Either one, honestly. Oh, mess up the fast pole climb there. Not a problem. Okay, well, here one finally is at the end of precipice. I guess they all decided to just go down into shoreline. So I think this is shoreline. It's kind of the same region. Probably shouldn't carry this, but why not, I guess. Tama's precipice I've you've ever seen. Yeah, I've never seen it like that either. There was what, like 2 lizards and a vulture? Usually there's like multiple king vultures and multiple cyan lizards. Plus like dropwig, white lizard. However, I'm not yet carrying the extra pearls, so that might change things on my way back. I might use a passage to get back to Sky Islands, so depending on how long it takes. It has already been an hour and a half, so if I don't really want to go on for longer than 3 hours at most. Every room had 2 to 3 cyans. That was what I was expecting. We'll see. We'll see. I feel like dynamic difficulty should be quite high because I've been to quite a few regions at this point and I have not died very much. So I'm going to have to... I probably should leave the spear behind. There we go. So I'm able to hold on to the grapple worm and a spear, but that won't stay the case for forever. I really got sent flying from that. I'm not the greatest at grapple worm movement. I've improved a small amount from doing rivulet speedruns, because the route now uses grapple worms. But they're not something that I've really focused on too much outside of that, which has only happened pretty recently. That's great. That happens sometimes. I saw the pipe flash and I thought that I could get through in time. But unfortunately, not. Another explosive spear? Do I really need all of these? The answer is no. But that was actually a very short pipe, so I did not have much time. So it's funny when dropwicks just sit there and don't do anything. Honestly, I would like to deal with this spider. Just so it doesn't become a problem later. I think you can grab that with the grapple worm from down there, but bit risky. Okay, where's the lizard this time? There they are. Not a problem. Okay, let's not immediately fall. Okay, I had a feeling that that might not reach, but luckily it did. Didn't see that lizard at first. They're just gonna sit there? Oh, that was so close. I'm just gonna keep going. I could go back for that, but there's no point, really. Honestly, food has not really been as much of a problem as I thought that it would. Maybe because I'm moving around so quickly, so I can get popcorn plants. That I have been relying on those quite a lot. Not really relying on, but most of the food that I've been getting has been from popcorn plants. Maybe not most, but I feel like a good amount. And maybe that's only possible because I've been like moving quickly from region to region. And if you're taking longer or if you're dying, so you have to spend more time getting farming karma, then probably not nearly as easy. But even when I don't have popcorn plants, I feel like it's not too bad. And I guess maybe the real problem is the way the karma system works, is something I still don't really like about the game. In some situations, you just, the only way to continue is just to farm karma, and it's just, like, not really that fun. I guess that's the point, right? That's your motivation for playing well and not dying. Because dying means that you have to spend some time to get your karma back up if you want to get through a gate. But also, like, it's just not enjoyable. The motivation for not dying is just that you lose a lot of time, right? You have to go back to where you died. Grapple worms used to weigh you down. I'm going to stay in the shelter. I'm going through unfortunate development. Unlike the rest of Spearmaster's campaign, unfortunate development is actually easier than it normally is. It's earlier in the timeline. There's this annoying property of grapple worms where once you grapple onto something, you immediately ragdoll. You immediately enter your crouching state, which kind of messes up your aerial mobility. But if you tap up, you kind of right yourself and you can move around a lot faster in the air. So as long as you just tap up every single time you grab onto something, you'll be able to move a lot better. But it's also still kind of annoying. Pressing up can also make you grab onto poles that you don't want to grab onto. Oh, really? I think throwing that spear actually messed me up. You know, you would think that a Spearmaster would be better at moving in zero gravity because you can always create spears to throw, but I feel like it doesn't really help that much. Hello. Welcome to the stream. We're just now entering Pebbles. That's it. I'm just going through Pebbles as Spearmaster. Guess we can have another look at unfortunate developments at this point of the timeline. Oh yeah, there's these guys. I'm not really worried about getting food. I can just get the popcorn plant at the end of Pebbles. If I can make it through in a single cycle, which Shouldn't be a problem. And it doesn't matter because there's no rain up here. And there's even one of these inspectors in this room, which is usually where the rot starts to get really bad. We'll see though. I think this gives some perspective on just just how far apart some of the time skips are between the downpour slowcats, because this is already the condition of the rot at the very beginning of the timeline. It's already pretty bad, but it doesn't really change too much. Like from here all the way to Monk, it spreads to like what, a few more rooms. And then to Rivulet, it's like suddenly actually there's an explanation for Rivulet. It's because the rot has made its way into the conduit system, which like transports water all across the structure. So suddenly the rot has a way to spread like significantly faster. And then I'm gonna find out a way to get out of this. That's not what I meant to do. So I guess actually there's like not too far of a time jump. Now that like after the rot has a way to spread much faster. It seems like, okay, I have to throw the spears like 90 degrees earlier. And hopefully not catch the attention of this guy. That didn't work. Okay, I'm still good. Okay. We're not safe yet. Okay, this is pretty safe. The most like concrete like measurement of time that we have is that there's a specific amount of cycles in between Spearmaster and Artificer's campaign. I think that's like a known, that's a known amount of time. I don't remember where that is like said exactly. How am I gonna do this? I think that should be the last room. Also, I didn't think that there was a DLL in here, especially as Spearmaster. I think it's like on the, okay. That's what it's died. I think it's on the scale of like 1,000 cycles from Spearmaster to Artificer. And I guess like who knows how long a cycle is, so. I think that there's good reason to believe that a cycle is just a normal day. Which I guess depends on how long a day is, but you know, after it rains, it becomes nighttime. We can see that at the top of the wall and area and like outer expanse areas where the rain doesn't affect, like where the rain isn't too strong. I don't know. I feel like we have this kind of discussion so often, but I never feel like we get closer to figuring anything out. Everyone just has their own theories, and then we just sit there being like, yeah, like maybe this is true, maybe not, probably not. So I'm heading back to Unfortunate Development, which might be a mistake. It wasn't really that bad other than that those like last two rooms. What if Spearmaster happens while Artificer's kids are still alive? Maybe. If I'm right about that 1,000 cycles thing, then probably not. Or maybe. Depends on how long it takes for... It depends on so much stuff. I don't know what was bouncing around making that sound. I mean, Silicon's is definitely a thing around this time. Really? The Karma Flower is right there? Okay, I'm not gonna bother getting that. I guess that's the last thing that I standed on. Everything else was just kind of floating around in tunnels or in pipes. Don't know why this guy's spinning around. Also, isn't it weird that the sun is like possibly a thing? Maybe that's a stupid thing to say, but nothing else in the sky moves at all. The stars are always the same. If the moon is always in the same exact spot across like all points in the timeline. Okay. Should I really be going through Unfortunate Development? You always think that it's not gonna be that hard, and then you die at the very end. So I'm probably just gonna take the safe route. Rainworld is flat. Maybe. Rainworld feels like the kind of game where you just have to like break all assumptions about the world, because like anything could be completely different. And I like those kind of stories. I also thought that since I'm Spearmaster, that it would be significantly easier, but I think that those last few rooms would be as rot infected as they normally are. Which I think that kind of suggests that that's closer to the origin of where the rot started. Not where it started, but where it spread to after the Pebbles failed to remove it completely. I've seen that theory actually. Kind of an interesting idea. Kind of feel like that's just the devs like saying like, oh, we'll just make them green just because. Like they could also be satellites of some kind. Not even stars at all. Also, I'm just heading straight back into Unfortunate Development. I forgot that this is where this path takes you. If I actually remember where to go specifically. It's always fun when that happens. I think there's a way to get into that room right above me. Be a big shortcut. Spearmaster's a porcupine. I don't accidentally stab a neuron to make that inspector mad. So we actually have to go down for a bit to take this path through pebbles. Luckily there shouldn't be any DLLs in the way. So there's nothing really that dangerous at all. This is the room with all the neurons. This is also my game is lagging a whole lot. This is very similar type of room that Unfortunate Development is. This is the same as the entrance to Unfortunate Development. This room right, or this area right here. Now we head from here up. That specifically, I think, right there. Unless there's an entrance on this side too. There is. That is a lot easier. This is the worst region. I mean, if you learned this route, maybe I shouldn't have decided to take the Unfortunate Development route, but it's not that bad, I don't think. Is it better than just going to the wall? Probably not. But I think like the visuals and the uniqueness of the zero gravity. Just the fact that this entire region is so different from the rest of the game. I think it makes up for the fact that it's kind of annoying to go through. Actually, this probably isn't the path that I want to go. Also, taking the wall routes means that you have to get through all the lizards. And the white lizards, the orange lizards, and then sleep lizards, depending on what character you're playing. I didn't want to look that way. Oops, sorry about that. I don't remember which way I have to go here. Not this way. This is the wrong way. Zero gravity in a game focused on movement is a pain. Yeah. It's hard to get used to, and I'm still not great at it. I feel like also feel like every time I do like I play a mod and I get the pebbles, then everything slows down a whole lot. Because the modded characters' unique abilities aren't really useful in zero gravity, and there aren't any like new creatures or like things that like let you use the modded character's abilities. So should probably stop going to Pebbles when I'm playing mods, and maybe I shouldn't have gone for this stream. But I figured that going to Unfortunate Development would be important because it's an important part of Spearmaster's campaign, the fact that they're so early in the campaign. Oh, I haven't gotten this yet. However, this area is very good. And the music. It's good that I turned on the music earlier. By the way, this song is significantly better than the one that plays next to Moon. I don't know how they messed that up so bad. And also just the fact that this area exists in a game that's so unassuming. From like trailers and like the first few areas of the game, you know, it's just like basic, very simple. There's like a few lizards here and there. And then you get here and it's like inside the heart of a massive supercomputer. It's always kind of incredible to remember that areas like this exist in the game, as well as like the entire like voids or like depth sequence at the end of the game. Anyway, let's continue. Pebbles just says suns there. It's kind of funny that the ancients had such elaborate names, and yet the iterators decided to shorten them. Like suns and moon. The spearing and iterator puppet give you food pips. No, they are not creatures. They are basically just like foreground objects, like hitting a rock. And also, pebbles will kill you. Oh, Stargazer, isn't that the song that's gonna play in the next few rooms? Not the next few rooms, but once you get to the wall. Erratic pulse. Also, I'm still injured. Also, I feel like Pebbles is totally overreacting here. Like the pearl doesn't really say that much. Also, that whole sequence takes way longer if you have the mark of communication. But I'm pretty sure that he's saying pretty much exactly the same thing. It's just that we don't understand it. Random Gods might be my favorite song in the OST. Also because it has the same, very similar to like the main theme of the game. one that plays in the main menu, as well as when you're meeting Moon as Survivor. So now we are going to bring this pearl back. You think the DLC overuses that? And where else does that play? Like, there's the one song that plays somewhere in Moon Structure. And like, where else? I don't know if I can remember any other song that uses it. Also, this is a test to see if I can get past the scavengers, and also to see if my reputation is good. I did give a bunch of pearls to scavengers and outskirts, but I don't know if that reaches all the way up here. We're good? We're chill? They took the pearl down here. Yeah, you can like teleport up these slopes. That's kind of weird. Okay, there's only one scavenger that whole way. Oh, I don't want to hear this guy has to say. So I am going to take the precipice route again. Which means going through Underhang. So I'll have to carry a grapple worm and this pearl at the same time, and no other items. That'll be a lot of fun. Honestly, this hasn't really been that bad. I think I do have good reputation. At least positive enough for them to not attack me. Even... Well, I don't know. I don't know if I've seen a particularly aggressive scavenger. One that would attack regardless of good reputation, or slightly good reputation. Okay, that one seemed like it would have. Or maybe they're attacking the overseer. Why are they like this? Last time I was here, I was playing a character that died very easily to fall damage, so it's very nice to not deal with that anymore. Ooh. Just gonna make things easier. I don't know if I want to use the mask though. I don't know if I've ever hit a vulture in the head so many times in a row. Oh, another one. It just went down to attack the other vulture that was already dead. I'm gonna take this slowly. There we go, there's one lizard gone. Okay, that's... Why are they all here? That one just did that. Did one of them just fall through the floor? He just slid. Why did I do that? I'm not getting the mess because I'm gonna have to drop it for grapple worm anyway, and plus I'd like to fight lizards instead of just running past them. I'm playing Spearmaster again to kind of get a feel for the character. I've played them probably the least out of all of the downpour characters. And an important part of the character is how they deal with lizards. So if I just use Vulture Mask to avoid interacting with lizards at all, then I feel like I would have a unfair experience. I want to actually see how this character deals with lizards instead of just skipping them all. I don't like that though. Actually, I don't have any problems with that. Wrong way. Actually, this shelter is probably way better than the one at the sort of underhang. I don't think that's reusing it too much. I mean, okay, I can understand that. In vanilla, it's pretty much exclusively for meeting the main characters, being the slow guy and the iterators, and then for the very end. But some of those other examples you gave, or those other songs, they're not too noticeable. I don't think they're too noticeable. What are they doing? I guess the point is that they should be noticeable and used in important situations. It's already not good. I really managed to hit them there. I mean, I probably would have killed them anyway by just stunning them so that they would fall down, but I actually got food from that too. Alright. Grapple worm moment. Let's not do that again, hopefully. I don't know if Spearmaster can do that. As Rivulet, I know you can fall down there. But maybe Rivulet has better aerial drift. Game over, gamer. I don't know, we're not playing that character. I sure hope that these scavengers are nice. Oh, I didn't mean to throw that at you. Good slide jumps there. I don't know what's up with this grapple worm. I guess it's just in a confined space like that. Okay, I don't like falling down here. That was a long stun. I guess some important strategy here is to throw the pearl somewhere where you know you can land safely. And then you're always able to create a spear. That's probably what the developers were thinking when creating this whole campaign with Spearmaster. Like, even if you have both hands occupied with key items, then you can always, even if you're in a situation where you want to use a spear, you can just like put one of those items away safely and you can just create a spear. There's no situations where you won't have access to a spear, even if you have to like drop one of your items to do so. Oh wow, this room hasn't collapsed. Honestly, I have not taken this route very often until it became part of the rivulet route. Because then I had to practice this part for the speed run. But now I'm seeing it in a state that I haven't seen that often. Which is not rotted completely. There's usually a DLL in this room that always got in the way, but... But I guess that entire platform down here, this platform falls away in Rivulet's time. I should not do that. There's a Ramirez vulture. I'm always happy to hear people who are either enjoy playing Spear or Artificer, or who want to play Artificer, because I don't really enjoy that character too much. I'm not the biggest fan of fighting scavengers, and so yeah, I guess you can always just decide to kill scavengers regardless of, even if you're not Artificer, you know, you always have the option. But I'm happy to hear that they're not exclusively like bad characters. They're just characters that don't fit my playstyle. Pretty much every Slugcat, and this is true for a lot of things, but you know, there's always going to be a fan for everything. There's always someone to enjoy all of the characters, even if some of them are a lot less popular than others. Debating whether I should hold on to the grapple worm, because it does make a lot of this movement significantly easier. Because I don't enjoy most of the characters, honestly. I really like Rivulet and Saint, and the other ones are kind of annoying in a lot of situations. But if some people enjoy playing those characters, then I'm happy. It would suck if some of the characters were just like not really enjoyed by anyone. Zero filtration system fans. Do I have any food? There's, yes, and there's a popcorn plant not too far away. Well, technically, filtration system is just part of subterranean. So, if you're saying you don't like filtration system, that means you can't. You say that you don't like all of subterranean. More scavengers, don't be aggressive. Why aren't they separate regions? I don't know. Honestly, it's kind of annoying. Subterranean is such a large region that it actually lags. Maybe that's just the problem that I have. Why are you still throwing spears? Please stop it. But like exterior is the exterior is a single region, even though I usually consider the wall and well, that sucks for you. Actually, I should probably save the scavenger if I can. Oh, I can't. Well, that sucks for him. He can't even fit into Gorman's stomach. You're saying that Gorman can fit other regions into their stomach too. Like, is 5 pebbles the exception? Yeah, I usually think of exterior or underhang, the leg, and the wall as separate regions, but they're all the same. They're all counted as exterior. This must be the intended way you're supposed to get through this region, right? You know what? May have been a bit of a mistake. There we go. I don't like that guy. I should be able to outrun this. I don't know about this vulture though. I don't need food, so I can just keep going. I'm just gonna wait for this vulture to run away. The one gap in the pole is exactly where I land. I thought there'd be a longer ceiling for me to grapple across. I gotta go. All right. Well, thanks for stopping by. I have to go all the way. Okay, I should have stayed in a shelter. Remember earlier in the stream when I was talking about how I was staying in a lot more shelters than normal, and I've just gone straight back to that playstyle of not staying in shelters for an entire region. I say, remember when I said this at the start of the stream? As if anyone actually stays for the entire stream. And if you do, I appreciate it. Alright, well, this is taking quite a while. So I think I'm probably going to use a passage to get back to Sky Islands. Oh, hello, white lizard. So they do hunt grapple worms, in fact. I think someone was asking about that. If grapple worms had any predators. Although I think it's quite uncommon for that to happen. That's a particularly annoying spot right there. Because you land right next to a bunch of poles and you need to stand back up after grappling. Hello, spider. Hello, significantly more dangerous spider. Why did I miss? Okay, somehow that worked out. I was starting to pass out. I probably should have just left the room because the spider didn't seem to be interested in following me, but I guess that worked out too. I wouldn't recommend it though. I also wouldn't recommend just missing your first spear. Usually better to try to hit your spears instead. I don't like that. Okay, that didn't work out that time. Guess they're just gonna leave now. Oh, another lizard, my favorite. Okay, I thought they were gonna go through the pipe. And they blocked it so I couldn't get through. Oh, you totally can make that. Yeah, it's a grapple room in an actually reasonable location this time. But this is what I was expecting the first time I came through here. This is a much more normal exterior experience. I guess I'm also... That's just me. I'm probably gonna have to stay in a few shelters to get my karma up. I tried the camera scroll mod. No, and I'm not interested in it. I don't like the way it changes. Okay. I just don't like it. I'm so used to the way the camera works now that it'd feel weird to change it so suddenly. And I know that it kind of fixes the problem with the creatures like showing up off screen. Okay, what was up with that? But honestly, that's something that you can just prepare for, like expecting creatures to be out of your line of sight. Why can't I reach that? Well, because I'm not rivulets, that's why, but I think I've been able to do this before. I didn't want to do that. There we go. I don't know what GSB stands for. Do you mean specifically the part of the void sea where the screen starts scrolling or the camera starts scrolling to follow you as you swim down? General Systems bus. The room that's outside of Pebbles. I don't know. I like the way that the camera works. The way that it shows you one screen and kind of gives you an idea of like this is one challenge, one platforming challenge to get through, and then once you get past that, it shows you the next screen and you continue. And also it really helps with learning the regions. Something that's strange when I see people use the camera scrolling mod, that really hit that loser, is that I can't as easily recognize where they are. Because usually I kind of memorize like landmarks, like specific locations to know where I am. But when you start scrolling the camera, like those landmarks are kind of broken up by the screen. I don't like this. Actually, I like this now. Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool. The pipe actually doesn't show. I could not see that lizard approaching at all. That's cool. That's fun. Why am I taking this route? It hasn't been 30 seconds, so I don't lose karma. Yeah, a static camera makes a lot of things easier. Other than maybe the fact that you have to kind of configure where exactly the camera moves across the screen. But I want you guys to notice something now. I've only just started dying a whole lot after picking up this pearl. It's all been fine up until now. Okay. You know what? I guess we don't need to do that. I really wasn't having that bad of a time with this character. It actually kind of felt like reasonably balanced, considering that I've improved at the game significantly since my first playthrough of this character. So it makes sense that it'd be easier for me. But so I would think that, you know, that means it's a pretty good challenge. You can become more experienced to make something that used to be challenging a lot easier. But no, it's still just as hard just because I didn't have the pearl yet. Maybe it's an unfair comparison, because this area is specifically one area where you need to carry 2 items at once, the pearl and the grapple worm. So maybe once I drop the grapple worm, things will return to normal, but it's not great that you're limited to pretty much only one other item to carry, and that you no longer have the ability to hold on to 2 spears at once. I think this whole thing actually, I think that this kind of reinforces the idea that I already had about Spearmaster. They are annoying to play once you start dealing with the Pearl, but otherwise they're totally fine. Honestly, this is kind of a problem that I have with Downpour in general. Everything is great until it isn't. Like, every campaign has some sort of problem with it that kind of ruins the whole experience. Okay, let's not, honestly. Like, for Gourmand, I don't like the stamina mechanic. For Artificer, I don't like fighting scavengers. For Rivulet, I don't like the rot. For Spearmaster, the Pearl, obviously. And for Saint, it's Rubicon. Like, every character has some sort of problem with it that just makes everything a lot worse. And I guess which Slugget that you prefer playing depends on which of these problems you have the least problem with. Like, if you like fighting scavengers, then you probably like Artificer a lot. If you are kind of a slow player anyway, then you probably don't mind Gourmand's stamina, because you're not really jumping around and using movement tech all the time, like I'm trying to do. I like speedrunning the game. I like the movement system, and so once I'm limited in what kind of movement I can do, it's annoying. That's why I don't like the Gourmand. But if you don't do that kind of movement, you probably don't mind it as much. And for like Rivulets, I like Rivulet because I've managed to learn a specific route through the rot that isn't that bad. Which it isn't a great solution. Also, the edge of the screen was not covered for some reason. But that's not a great excuse to say, like, oh, this region isn't bad because I learned how to get out of it as soon as possible. That shouldn't be the case. We have food. Okay, here's this explosive spear that I left behind. A lot of waiting for DL levels to move. Honestly, my biggest problem with it is that it's just like the opposite of what Rivulet is good at. And typically that makes it more difficult. Like, Rivulet is supposed to be like the fast and agile character that doesn't deal much with combat. And the aquatic side of the character is dealt with in Submerged Superstructure, right? That's where you get to take advantage of their underwater abilities. And see, like, the top of the screen it's like showing a few pixels up there. That's funny. Because for Rivulet, I really enjoyed the fact that you had to take advantage of your speed because of the short cycles. You did not have much time to sit around and deal with creatures, but you had the mobility to just, like, weave to, like, to get around them easily, you know? So it kind of became a game of, like, sprinting from shelter to shelter in between the rains and trying to find a bit of food on the way, right? And you get to rot and it slows all the way down. I hope these guys aren't aggressive. Thank you. Is that a dead lizard scavenger? Honestly, I feel like maybe you've already heard me talk about this, but I feel like Rivulet should have gotten Spearmaster's campaign. Because there's a lot of traveling between locations in the overworld. I get to hear this music again. But what does Spearmaster do? They travel from outskirts up to Pebbles, rip blue, from Pebbles to Moon, and then from Moon to Sky Islands. And if you decide to go to Moon first, then let's just add it on at the beginning. And for that much moving around, I feel like Rivet would have been perfect. They'd be a great messenger. And yet just like it with the messenger quest is like the slowest one. I don't like this. I really don't like this. Somehow that worked out. But like the zero gravity and the fact that the gravity keeps switching back and forth, all of the proto long legs that prevent you from touching the walls, it means that you have to play really, really slow and carefully, which is like the opposite of what Rivet is good at. They're meant to be like fast and running all over the place, and, like outrunning and avoiding creatures. And none of that gameplay is reflected in the Rot, which is their unique region. Hard to come up with a use for Riv's underwater ability. Possibly. But hey, Rivet doesn't have to be an underwater character. You know, the characters don't have to be set in stone. Maybe they don't have an underwater ability, they're just the agile slug guy. And some other campaign could get the underwater ability. It is kind of strange that the slug that's supposed to be good at swimming is the one that's also the fastest when they're not swimming. This was all very risky, but it worked out. Really should have been more careful there. So look out for that drophook. I know this is a drophook in this location. I think there's also a white lizard. Thank you for the notification. Why am I getting notifications right now? Maybe this campaign would have been better if there was like, if the path from Precipice into Moon was significantly shorter, but you had to like open up a gate to cross it. So this gate would be closed. So you'd have to get to Moon from the other side, and then she would open up the gate, and it wouldn't, and it'd be like a significantly shorter distance to travel between Pebbles and Moon. Although that means that you have to go to Moon first, so that kind of just makes it longer by default. Zero gravity already. Also, I no longer need this grapple armor, but I guess I'll leave it in this shelter. I should have food. Oh yeah, this shelter. Yeah. So first, all of the slug cats with their abilities were created, like isolated from any specific campaign. And then he also just happened to make a massive underwater region. So once they decided to expand the scope of the mod, it would be fitting to put the underwater slug cat in the underwater region. And why go to the underwater region? Well, that's what the rest of Pebble going to Pebbles is for, right? So it's understandable. But also, like, they designed the campaigns around the characters instead of designing both of them together, because they kind of already created the way that the characters would work with the original version of the mod. Although not completely, right? Like, Spearmaster changed quite a bit. And that was good timing. Spearmaster is quite different from the way that they were in the original mod. In fact, actually lost a few of their like most important abilities, like being able to. Okay. I thought I should have just stayed on those other platforms. They didn't turn out to be dangerous at all. Like, Spearmaster used to just be able to hold 2 spears and pull spears out of walls, right? Wasn't that it? And then they, or maybe they also got food from hitting creatures with spears. I don't know. Yeah, let's just throw the pearl everywhere. Why don't we? Alright, now we gotta wait for another cycle. I'm actually just gonna wait here. Yeah, don't risk that again. Now that I know I can stand here safely, actually, I might as well just like go across this whole thing while I have time. Here we are in this room again. Was my backflip cancelled halfway through? I do hope that the gravity doesn't turn on again. Alright, that worked out. Funny going through these rooms. Same ones that you go through as Reveal It. At least the ones that I go through for the speedrun. Except they're not flooded. And except the fact that I have to go this way instead. Just reminded of the Reveal It route and decided to just follow it. Even though it's not where I'm supposed to go. Luckily, they don't really mind if you break those. Nope, don't drop the pearl. Do I even know where I'm going? Yeah, I just wanted a big circle. There we go. That's where I want to go. Yeah, there's a big difference between Downpour and Vanilla Rain World, because suddenly they had to design around unique abilities instead of just, you know, the base Slugcats are very simple in their design and what they're capable of doing, but suddenly all these Slugcats had crazy abilities, and that had to be considered. And it's probably important that that's how it happened, because otherwise, you know, maybe all the campaigns would just end up feeling very similar to the base game campaigns. And so giving them unique abilities kind of gives them opportunities to expand and, you know, come up with more interesting ideas and environments. But then with those abilities also comes downsides. Like, I understand that, like, for balancing sake, they're probably too powerful, so they had to create some sort of downside to balance it out. I think I probably would have preferred, like, no downside at all, but a slightly less extreme upside. I think that the difficulty of the game is probably a little bit higher than it should be. Like, they kind of based it all around Hunter instead of Survivor. Like, Spearmaster and Artificer have pretty much Hunter spawns. Gourmand is in between Survivor and Hunter spawns. Revealet and Saint have their own entirely like, unique set of spawns, but Rubicon is a very difficult area, and Saint in general is difficult depending on if you're good at the movement. If you can avoid creatures completely because you don't have any, like, you can't use spears. And then the Raw, of course, for Rivulet. So I kind of thought of Hunter as like the challenge mode, so it makes sense that the creature spawns would be so rough, but then that was kind of just the default for most of the campaigns in Downpour. And Rain World has a very unique type of difficulty. At least, like, just for Survivor. Survivor is quite a difficult campaign. But, like, once you learn the rules of Rain World, it becomes much more manageable. So Hunter decides to, you know... Oh, I need to pick up the Pearl. Hunter says, let's just take this, like, inherent difficulty of Rain World and just add even more difficulty on top of that. I think it would have been totally fine if Downpour was more based around Survivor's campaign and difficulty. Because obviously the inherent difficulty of just the fact that Rain World is so different, that kind of needs to be there. That's what makes Rain World the most special, right? And then any difficulty on top of that just kind of makes the game more annoying to play. I don't think people particularly enjoy, like, farming karma to get through a gate after getting stuck for like an hour. That's not what we played Rain World for. Maybe some people, I guess. I said that I was going to passage, but I don't have the remix setting on. And I'm dead anyway. Let's do this real quick. It's been quite a long time. Spearmaster's campaign is quite long. Especially if you do... Oh, I have to do all that again. Alright. You enjoy farming karma. Gives you an excuse to explore a region. Alright. The problem with that for me is that the further that you explore, the more that you risk dying again, right? If you want to get your karma up, the safest option is just to not deal with creatures at all. And just go for the safest food that you can find, right? If you go out and explore into an unfamiliar area, then you're more likely to just put yourself in danger that you're not prepared for. And thus you have to spend even more time karma farming. But if you enjoy it, that's cool. I really threw it backwards, even though you can look at the input display. I don't think I was holding that direction. Sometimes you just throw in whatever direction you're looking at instead of the direction that you're actually holding in. Except sometimes it also feels like you just throw in the direction that you're holding in regardless of the direction that you're facing. So I don't really know what it is. I didn't want to do that. Okay, none of that worked out. There we go. I'd also like to point out that Downpour is what brought a lot of players back to Rain World, or even into Rain World in the first place. A lot of people playing Downpour are people who are either playing Rain World for the first time or haven't played it in a long time. And so those people who are going to struggle with the difficulty in these newer campaigns the most. And of course, if you have been playing Rain World this whole time, then you're not going to struggle nearly as much. But I think it's reasonable to want the game to be accessible. It doesn't mean that it has to be like super easy. It's because the game inherently comes with some amount of difficulty. Just because of how unique everything is. Why did I think that would work? Oh yeah, let's throw the pearl away too. This whole like difficulty thing, it's mostly just a problem for Spearmaster though. I feel like, because the other Suckheads do in fact have abilities that make things a lot easier for them. Like the Artificer has similar difficulty to Hunter and Spearmaster, but they also can create explosives whenever they want. They can blow up to stun any creature that's nearby. They can double jump. Like, Artifice is incredibly powerful, and it kind of counterbalances some of the the amount of difficult creatures they run into, as well as the scavengers, right? But Spearmaster actually ends up like their unique abilities actually can make them worse depending on who you ask. Like it's actually I'd say that there's a decent case for Hunter being like a better character than Spearmaster. So what makes this character unique is actually what also makes them worse in some scenarios. I don't know why this inspector is always stuck in this tunnel for some reason. Just barely didn't grab onto that. I don't know. For all the stuff that I complain about this game, there's still like opportunity for it to change. Honestly, there hasn't been any updates for a while because I think they're focusing mostly on porting the game to consoles, which is good. Or specifically the DLC. But you know, maybe they will update the game eventually and fix some of the problems that we have about some of these characters. Depending on how many people agree that they are in fact a problem. But also, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. A lot of people played Rain World right as the DLC was released, and a lot of those players probably aren't going to come back for some small updates. So if anything, they just benefit like the handful of players that are doing speedruns and challenges and still like playing the game for whatever reason after all this time, and maybe some amount of people that will pick it up. There's always going to be new players coming in. Why couldn't I jump off the wall? Was that hitting a pearl or hitting moon? I tried to just use that to throw boost. So this is going to be close to the end of the stream. If I can make it to Sky Islands very quickly, that is. Which is a big assumption. Yeah, I think that Spearmaster is really the best before you get the Pearl. And that I would probably recommend to people still that you should just use passages to carry the Pearl with you. But also that you should spend some time exploring the world outside of the iterators. You know, their main quest is just going to Pebbles. And then from Pebbles, it's just like back and forth from Pebbles to Moon a few times. And getting to Sky Islands is pretty much just the same process, but you keep going to the side instead of up through pebbles. And maybe I got lucky in a few scenarios, like the first time I went through Precipice was super calm. Have I even been to Chimney once? I guess not. Well, I should be able to, yeah, stay in this shelter. But going from just like hopping around to grab some of the echoes is honestly like totally fine. And getting food wasn't that much of a problem, especially if you take advantage of popcorn plants. Especially the fact that you have to go through underhang. Like, so you don't have to go through it, but it's kind of like the obvious route if you want to take the path through Precipice, which is what Moon recommends. Because I guess the only other place that you go is to Shoreline, and then what from there? Like, you go from Shoreline to Shaded to Industrial. That's such a long route compared to just going to underhangs. You're pretty much right there. And having to go through underhang makes things quite difficult since you're supposed to use a grapple worm. Especially if you want to make it over to the wall. Because going through pebble structure is quite the challenge. Not quite the challenge, depending on which route you take. Make it more or less difficult, but yeah, using the grapple worm is quite tricky. Sometimes you get a crazy boost from that pipe for no reason. Question now is if I can get through Sky Islands quickly without dying. Apparently a lot of people don't like Sky Islands. Honestly, it's probably one of my favorite regions. Mainly because of these jumps. It's probably the problem that a lot of people have. This one wasn't that bad, but there's some jumps that are impossible to make, or that seem impossible to make without a Squidcada. Of course, you can learn to make those jumps without a Squidcada, which is quite fun. It's like actually an area where using advanced movement is useful. Other than just moving slightly faster. Hello, welcome to the end of the stream. We're about a few minutes away from making it to the end here. But I guess thanks for stopping by anyway. This area can be difficult if King Vultures decide to show up. Or White Lizards. Squidcada-less jumps. Just do a little spin there for no reason. Why not? Yeah, just because that they're possible doesn't mean that they're easy at all. But it means that it's at least possible to bring items with you, like a vulture mask or a pearl or whatever else you may be holding on to. Also, I got lucky and not a single king vulture showed up. Alright, there we go. That's the end of Spearmaster. So that pretty much just like agrees with, or this experience agrees with what I already felt about Spearmaster. They are a difficult character, definitely. But they have a unique playstyle. Honestly, that's the best part of it, of Spearmaster. They have a unique playstyle, and it makes just running around the map and like fighting creatures and just doing various things. You know, because I was grabbing the echoes at the start of the run. It makes it. Why do I keep getting notifications? Like that part of Spearmaster is good. It's once you get to the pearl. The pearl from the give from Pebbles. Well, I guess that you always had, but I feel like that really messes up the whole campaign. The Spearmaster is probably the weakest. You think that their objective is not annoying? Because I think that first of all, having to navigate through those regions, specifically like Underhang, Precipice, and then Moon or Pebbles if you decide to go through those regions. Well, I mean, you don't really have a choice with Moon. Depending on how far you go with Moon. Um, you know, those are areas where you can't really take advantage of your abilities, your spears. It's the main appeal of the Spearmaster, obviously. But once you focus on carrying this pearl around and going to regions that they don't have any creatures at all, like Pebbles or Moon, or that require you to use a grapple worm so that you can't hold on to any spears at all. If you're with passages, yeah. I mean, obviously, if you avoid the thing that I have a problem with, you don't have a problem. But a lot of people will not be aware of the fact that you can passage with pearls, or that like they haven't enabled the setting at all. And also, if you decide to take any other route with the pearl, it can make things significantly more difficult. If you decide to go through garbage wastes, it's actually like kind of awful. I would not recommend taking the pearl through garbage wastes. And also, going through garbage wastes is quite a far detour compared to just going through Precipice. Playing Spearmaster's campaign as Hunter. I mean, I don't think it's a good campaign if playing a different character makes it better. Like every campaign should be the best experience as the character that it was designed for. Could have gotten world record. Yeah, it only took 3 hours instead of 4 hours. Crazy world record. I feel like Spearmaster's a character or a campaign that if I played as a different character, I would enjoy a lot more. I think I would. And you know, having to deal with the Pearl takes away from their unique abilities. Because like once just wandering around, playing as Spearmaster is fine. Doing their campaign, it's not as fine. I guess that's the most I have to say about Spearmaster. All right. Well, that's going to be the end of the stream. That's what Expedition is for. Yeah. I don't actually. So the reason I did this run is because I wanted to have more experience with Spearmaster before making a tier list. Tier list like for pretty much everything, like all slug cats, all regions, all creatures maybe too. But I hadn't played Spearmaster much, so I wanted to get more experience in. And I don't know if I should consider like expeditions or challenges as part of that, right? Because it's Rebel tier list. Yeah, maybe I'll add that in too. But like Artificer, for example, I'm not really a fan of Artificer's campaign. I don't really enjoy fighting scavengers, but like Artificer's like totally overpowered character, and they're kind of fun to use in expedition mode, right? I think they're great for that. And like just various like other challenges that you can do where like combat is the main focus, then like Artificer is like such a strong pick. And I feel like even for expeditions, I would always prefer playing Hunter or Spearmaster anyway, because they end up kind of feeling like a stronger character. Just being able to hold the spear on your back, even though Spearmaster can hold two spears, but Hunter can hold two spears too, and some other item like a rock or a vulture mask. But if I were to say some positive things about Spearmaster, their unique regions, specifically related to Moon, I think they're very good. They're very well done. Actually, the Moon's exterior regions were a lot of fun to navigate because I had yet to grab the pearl. They'd probably suck if I grabbed the pearl, but I hope you're not getting the pearl from Pebbles and then going all the way through like Shaded and Shoreline and Moon's exterior, because that kind of sounds awful. Because I went to Moon first, so going through those regions, they were fun. And all like the music and the ambience and just kind of the fact that Moon you get to explore Moon before she collapses. That's a special moment and like probably the best thing that Downpour does, letting you explore like key locations in different points of the timeline. It's just unfortunate once you get to the Pearl and the actual like chunk of the main chunk of Spearmaster's campaign. Anyway, I'm just repeating myself at this point, so thanks everyone for watching. See ya.